Hi children, good morning. In last class, you learned about the photosynthesis process and the equation of photosynthesis and the types of nutrition in plants. Yes. So in that heterotrophic nutrition, two more plants or two more modes of nutrition left over that we'll discuss in today's class, children. Those are parasitic plants, parasitic plants. Parasites means which are depending on other plants for their nutrients, for their nutrition purpose. When they depend on other plants, they are known as parasitic plants. So they are of two types again. One is complete parasites. The other one is partial parasites. Complete parasites. Actually, these non-green plants will depend on the green plants for their nutrients, for their nutrition purpose. On whom they are depending, that plant is known as host plant. Where the parasites are depending, that plant is known as host plants. And they will develop a special type of roots to get their nutrients. So those roots are known as hostorias. Some type of roots are developed in them. These are known as hostorias. So these hostorias twin around the host plant and they acquire the required nutrients from the host plant. And what's the difference between a complete parasite and a partial parasite? We'll see now. A complete parasite means these plants completely depend on the host plant. With the help of hostorias, they'll penetrate the hostorias into the host plant and they take already manufactured food from the plants, either from the xylem or the phloem. From the xylem, you know, in last class you learned that the tube-like structures which takes the water and minerals from roots to the other all parts of the plant, I told you, right? So in the xylem, ready-made minerals and water available, these complete parasites will take from the host with the help of hostorias. And they also take the ready-made food which is prepared in the leaves and carried out by the phloem to all the different parts. So they'll take that from the phloem, required nutrients, and they will survive. So they are completely depending on the host plant. Example, Cuscuta. Cuscuta is an example of complete parasite. It appears like a wire, a bundle of wire. I'll show you this picture in the video to you children. A bundle of wire, when we make a bunch, how it looks, it twins around the host plant. Okay, so it looks like yellow in color. There won't be any green color. Chlorophyll is not present, so they cannot make their own food. And why some plants are parasitic in nature? Some plants which are living in the fresh water and rocky areas, even though they have green color pigment also, they cannot make their food because the area where they are living, that area may not supplying the required nutrients to the plant. That's why they are modifying like parasitic plants. Understood? So Cuscuta is one of the plant which depends on the other plants. This picture is also given in your textbook, how the Cuscuta depends on the other plants. You can see children. And a partial parasite means it can prepare its own food, but it depends on the host plant only for the water and minerals. Sometimes you can see some other plants growing on the neem plant, mango tree, neem tree. You can observe some other plants will grow on them. This is because to take that, they'll have their leaves, they can prepare their own food, but only They too have the hostorias like other parasitic plants. With the help of hostoria, they'll absorb the minerals and the water from the host plant. And the remaining part of photosynthesis they can prepare. That means they are depending only half on host plant. That's why they are known as partial parasitic plants. So Mistletoe is one of the example of parasitic plant. It depends on the host plant. With the hostoria, from the phloem and from the xylem, it sucks water and minerals from the host plant. So this is about parasitic plants, children. Even our Rafflesia. Rafflesia is the largest flowering plant. Largest flower is Rafflesia. Even it is one of the parasitic plant. It depends on the vines. We cannot see its stem or the leaves or anything. We can see a big flower in Rafflesia. World's largest flower is Rafflesia. Even Rafflesia is going for parasitic nutrition. Okay, children? And then next one is insectivorous plants. Next type of heterotrophic nutrition. Next type of plants are insectivorous nutrition. We are discussing about fourth type of nutrition, that is insectivorous plant. Insectivorous plants means they get their food from insects by trapping the insects, frogs or crustaceans. They'll use these organisms as their food. Being a plant, how can they eat insect? How can they eat the frog? How can they eat the crustacean animals? It's so wondering, right? But some plants are like that. Why? Because there may be the habitat where they are growing, they are not supplying the proper nutrients for them. Required nutrients are not available for them. That's why they are depending on the animals to acquire their minerals, their required nutrients. So one of the example for this insectivorous plant is pitcher plant. Pitcher plant is one of the example for this insectivorous plant. It looks like a vase, flower vase. It looks like a flower vase. And here a cap will be, whenever the insect comes inside, it gets closed. And down of this pitcher plant, some enzymes, liquid enzymes are present. Whenever the insect is trapped, it goes and fall into this enzymes. And then because of this digestive enzymes, it can get digest. The trapped insects get digest and later can also transport it to the different parts of the plant. Understood, children? So another examples are also there, like Venus flytrap. Venus flytrap. These all pictures I'll show you in PPT in our online class. Okay. In Venus flytrap, the leaf blades looks like a cup shape, and whenever the insect fall inside this cup shape gets closed and insect is trapped inside this. Whenever insect is trapped, automatically digestive enzymes work on that insect. It digests that and transport to the other parts of the plant. And the other example is sundew plant. Even sundew plant will have a hair-like structures like this. Between these hair-like structures, our dandelion flower, how it looks like that. Between these hair-like structures, a liquid juice is present. sticky juice present. So whenever any insect comes, it stucks to this sticky juice and later get digested by the plant. So understood, children? There are different types of plants in heterotrophic nutrition. Yesterday we learned about saprophytes, symbionts, and today you learnt about parasite and insectivorous plants. Parasitic plants are of two types again, complete parasites and partial parasites. Cuscuta is one of the examples for complete parasite, and partial parasite example is Mistletoe and Rafflesia. And insectivorous plants get their food from insects, frogs and crustaceans. Example, pitcher plant, Venus flytrap and sundew plants. Okay children, and now we will see, we'll do some activities how actually the raw materials are helping in photosynthesis. Okay, we discussed that to carry out photosynthesis process, some raw materials are needed compulsory. Among all, the ultimate source for energy is sun. So the sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis. How can we prove that? To prove this, we can do one activity. What you are doing in this activity? You need to write this activity in your notebook, children. So observe carefully. In any activity, you all know that you need to write the aim of the activity, what materials you are using, and what procedure you are doing, and finally what's your observation. So these 5 points every time you are writing now. One is aim, and the second one is what materials you'll use in this activity, and the next one is procedure of that activity, and the last one is your observation. So these are the steps you are following to write any activity. So what's the aim of our activity now? To prove that sunlight is necessary for growing plants. To do this, you choose in your home, right now you are at home only, choose any one plant in your home and choose one healthy leaf from any plant, and middle of the plant you cover with black color tape. Cover with black color tape middle of the leaf from front and back side. Both you cover with a black color tape and let it be on the plant, and then plug that leaf after tying black color tape. After 4 to 5 hours, let it be like that under the sunlight. After 4 to 5 hours, you plug this leaf and bring inside and do a test for starch. Test for starch you do. Starch test, how to do, you know this. You did in class 6, how to test the carbohydrates. Can test by using iodine. Which chemical we are using? Iodine we are using to test whether the starch is present in the given carbohydrate or not. This experiment you did in last class, 6th class you did it. So here also you are going to use this iodine. How? In which part photosynthesis occurred and in which area the photosynthesis process has not taken place. Okay. So before knowing this, you just tie the leaf, middle of the leaf with black color tape, and then bring inside. After 4 to 5 hours later, then keep this leaf in boiling water. Okay, and then boil it in alcohol. Directly you are not supposed to boil in the alcohol. It may catch the fire. So in water bath, keep it in the water bath. Water bath means take in a glass beaker, hot water you take, and in another test tube, you take one test tube, half the test tube take alcohol, okay, and keep this leaf inside this alcohol and let it boil in the alcohol in water bath. Water bath means keeping in hot water this test tube which contain leaf and the alcohol, so that after boiling in the alcohol the leaf become brittle, and then again to make it soft keep again this leaf in the hot water, then it will become soft. Before keeping in the alcohol, remove the black color tape which you tied before, and then after taking out from the alcohol, keep this leaf in hot water again. 5 minutes after keeping in the hot water, then you test with iodine. When you keep iodine, observe clearly. If starch is present, the iodine color will change into like blue-black. Actually, which color iodine will be? Yellow in color. So this yellow color iodine, if the given food item has starch in them or any other carbohydrate form is there, that iodine color changes into like blue-black. So when you drop iodine on this leaf, the areas which you did not cover, this area completely color changes into blue-black, and the area which you covered with black color tape will not change into blue-black color. So this experiment proves that the sunlight is compulsory for the process of photosynthesis. That means the covered part, photosynthesis process did not take place and starch is not formed here. Understood, children? So what are the materials you are using? A fresh leaf you took, a tape you need, and hot water, and these beakers, test tube. This all you write, and what is the process you did it to prove that sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis. Understood, children? Yes. One more activity. How to prove chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. It's not only the sunlight or water and minerals if we supply, plant cannot make its own food. The compulsory leaf should have chlorophyll. Then only plants can do the photosynthesis process. So the second experiment, aim of the second activity is, you are doing second activity. These two activities, write in your notebook, children. So second activity aim is to prove that chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. For this, you choose one croton leaf. Croton leaves will have different colors. Not only the green color, they'll have different colors, right? So you take one pencil and mark it where it is showing the different color. Where is green color? There you mark with pencil like this. And where it is showing the other colors, that also you mark like this. Okay. And then do the starch test. Before doing the starch test, Same way how we did in activity 1, destarching how we did by using alcohol and water part. Same way you do. After this, add iodine and then see how the color change takes place. You can guess the part which is in green color will change into blue-black color, and the outer part which is not in green color, that will not change into the blue-black color. So this activity proves that the chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Okay, so can you write these two activities? Very good, children. And yesterday you learnt about symbiotic plants, right? With the help of rhizobium plants, how the symbiotic relation takes place, I explained you. And one more example also there for symbionts, children, that is lichens. Lichens are the combination of algae and fungus. When algae and fungi live together, they form the lichens. Algae means these are nothing but a type of plants. They have chlorophyll in them. They have chlorophyll. They can make their own food. Fungi can't make its own food. You learnt in saprophyte. They depend on organic matter to gain their nutrients. So when these two, chlorophyll, algae have chlorophyll, they can make their own food. In algae, the stem, roots, all these parts are not there. Only the leafy part present in algae. This is nothing but wherever we store the water, like in your water tanks or mugs or plastic buckets, if so many days the water is stored, algae grows in those areas, moist areas. Wherever most of the time moisture will be, in those areas algae can grow. So you can observe this, a green patch. So it doesn't have a stem or doesn't have roots and other parts. Only the green leafy structure present which contains the chlorophyll. So it can make its own food. Whereas fungi cannot make its own food. They both together lives. In this, they are getting benefited, each other are getting. Algae is giving, preparing food for fungi, and fungi is giving shelter to this algae. So this symbiotic relation between algae and fungi known as lichens. So this lichens we use to make papers, litmus papers will prepare by using this lichens. We use this litmus paper to find out the acids and bases. If any substance given to you, to find out whether the substance is acid or the base. This acid basis lesson is there in your chemistry, so you can understand what's the litmus paper is. So lichens are one of the examples for symbiotic plants. Understood, children? So types of plants you learned, types of nutrition, in what type of nutrition going on in those plants you learned, and the activities you did it. So write these activities in your notebook, children. That is your home assignment, and post it to me, the work what you did along with the diagrams and all these side headings mentioned, and do your work, children. Thank you.